Now this is interesting. How to tie my pieces together, because in piecemeal, as I hear, my Title IX in U.S. standards has been violated many, many days. Never been resolved. I don't even see an attempt at resolving it. I definitely can't feel the results. In fact, I've been harmed more times within these lands and within this umbrella than I care to say. I'm watching the news. They're in New York, the CBS this morning is talking about a flight school and kids that they're allowing to learn how to fly. They have some weekend class thing. Normally it's really expensive. Somebody's footing their bill or paying for their bill. I'm looking at them. It's other violations because they're going in FAA fly space, and there's already really dangerous levels of U.S. regulations that have been, or statutes or whatever, that have been broken. There should be some form of investigation going on, which would then prevent stuff like this from catching on. However, this is not the first time that CBS has aired this exact motif in whatever that's here, that's teaching itself to fly and carrying it forward. This time I found it interesting because they said the boy was picked because of what he was wearing. Now, my son, opposite coast, I'm in New York, has the Intrepid, the U.S. Somebody Special, the Intrepid, docked in New York, gift shop, same, it's an Air Force. This is what my son's worn several times in the area. Once St. Patrick's Day, once for Halloween, to make his pageantry known, of wanting to be something and needing opportunity. The interesting differential is I don't see any attempt being made to make my son's life any easier, or even give him a hand out, a hand up, a hand anything. So it just is very frightening to know that this level of lawbreaking is going on. I don't really see it getting scaled back or them preventing it.
Your fellow passengers on a commercial flight are usually a diverse group representing all of society, but that's not necessarily true behind the cockpit door. The vast majority of pilots are white and male. But lately there have been efforts to diversify the skies, including a program in California that's helping young people earn their wings. CBS News.
This diversity in the air is an even more scary at gerrymandering, which I covered this morning. The other day, they gave an image of a purple bed in orbital security. Even more frightening. I don't understand why they're allowing lower ward to bend the rules, which then gives rise and gives really scary power grabs to other things.
News transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve has the story.
This is what 70 miles an hour feels like.
10-year-old Aiden Washington can...
Bear in mind, my son, who's worn that in public in New York several times, is the same age and has never been offered flight lessons, ever.
Barely see over the controls, but he's in his element.
We're at 1,000.
feet over Los Angeles.
I like it when I land and when I take off.
I kind of like the flying part. I'm not a big fan of the landing part.
Yeah, it's just the landings can be a little rough, but once you...
Now, they're for some reason allowing this to walk around with this name. That's a problem. Just looking for patterns in the real system that keep popping up as identity thievery and as misleading to the public, to outside entity, to management of every level.
If you get the hang of it, you'll just land perfectly.
With Mom cheering him on and
I don't know who's participating in helping people break the law. The original ones that were in place for a reason, that people have been actively trying to break down, which has led to a multi-staged attack of not only like computer virus of the body, but of the atmosphere and of your ability to connect and hold thought patterns.
and documenting each flight from the ground. Aiden is chasing his dream of becoming an airline pilot. He's been practicing flying the friendly skies since he was 8. They say dress for the job you want, and Aiden...
So there's his version. There's the New York version.
Aiden did that from day one.
Come see me after ground instruction.
2 Saturdays a month, Aiden.
Now let's look. Here's the flag. Same one. I'm in New York, Big Apple to Empire. Big Apple to New York, in a New England, in a Northeast, in a North America. And this is what's being offered opportunity. My son is not. Somebody's helping break the law of aviation and flight rules and patterns, which is going into bigger breaking of things, both interior and exterior. And there's still always a nuclear concern on the horizon. So here's the table of what they've invited. I feel very underrepresented in this scenario.
Aiden and about 40 other kids from 8 to 18 fill this hangar for a morning ground school at Fly Compton.
Penetrate through that ceiling is going to be difficult,
A
right?
nonprofit exposing young people to aviation, hoping their dreams take flight.
Are there students that you see in your class that you expect to see in an airline cockpit one day?
Yeah, I would say about 40 to 50% of the kids, I'll see them in cockpit for sure.
Alaska Airlines pilot and Compton native Ron Norman is one of the program's founders. He sees firsthand the need to bring more diversity to flying.
You get mistaken for a flight attendant.
Oh, yeah. All the time. And the funny thing about that is it comes from everybody. It doesn't come just from white people. It comes from black people as well.
93% of pilots in the U.S. are white. Only about 5% are women, and women of color are estimated to be less than 1%.
I got on a commercial flight to Cuba back in 2017. Looked in the cockpit, and both of the pilots were African American. And
So what percent are breaking the law when 93% of the time they've got it right?
and instantly, that ignited my motivation to become a pilot.
Foundation President Demetrius Harris decided to become a professional pilot at age 40.
What was it about that made that such a light bulb moment?
Seeing someone that looks like me doing a certain thing, I think is very powerful. So I feel like if it did that for me, I can only imagine what it could do for a small child.
After ground school, it's time to fly.
It's so beautiful in here. Like, flying is so beautiful, and I love it.
18-year-old Alicia Arnold is studying aviation at San Jose State.
Release the brakes.
She is on pace to be Fly Compton's first teen to earn a pilot's license something she'll do before she even has her driver's license.
Driving a car is kind of
All three of my children were not offered any opportunity like this.
scary because it's you and then like that guy and then that dude over there. But then in the air, it's just so freeing.
One of the biggest barriers to becoming a pilot is the tens of thousands it can cost to learn. This summer, Fly Compton will mark its second year by helping some of its older students earn their pilot's licenses at little or no cost.
We're just here to reach one kid. If we can do more, it's icing on the cake.
For Norman, it's a chance to pay back those who mentored him by paying it forward.
Is it weird being a role model?
I never thought of myself as a role model. That's the first time I heard that. You all set? Ready? I'm just afraid. I'm just someone here to help guide. I've always thought of it as bearing a torch. We're just guiding the way.
And young Aiden is following in close formation.
If he can do it, I can do it.
Soaring to new heights while sending the message, the sky is their only limit. For CBS Saturday Morning, I'm Chris Van Cleve in Compton, California.
Good, Aiden, that was very good.
Maybe that's the key to being a role model, is not thinking of yourself as the role model, but just leading by example and helping and showing,
And kids watch, but look at Aiden there.
Yeah,
Pretty impressive, huh?
I'm seeing so many of these flight schools or flight training programs pop up all over the country, whether
Oh, it's the illegality is just flourishing. What a surprise.
it was, a Carol Hobson through that story, a United Airlines pilot, or, a Jerome Stanislaus, a guy who wanted to be a professional pilot but just wasn't able to get, his wings.
Accessibility.
And it's not just the kids as we saw there. How about somebody switching at 40 years old?
Yeah,
Changing
that was Carol's story. Yeah, it's awesome. Well, it's now.
Now, if I go back to the first story, which is where I'm headed, there was something that happened in Washington, D.C., frightening.
Nicole. Incredible food. The United States. Anthony Mason sits down.
But we begin this morning with the aftermath of a terrifying shooting spree in Washington that left 4 people injured, including a child. The gunman opened fire Friday in a busy neighborhood just as students at a nearby private school were being dismissed. The suspect later took his own life as law enforcement closed in. Police have not determined a motive for the attacks. Christina Ruffini is at the scene of the shooting about 3 miles northwest of the White House. Christina, good morning.
Good morning, Michelle. Well, there's a welcome calm in this neighborhood this morning, but that wasn't the case yesterday, where it was wall-to-wall first responders along this major road in Washington, where police were searching in some places door-to-door looking for that shooter.
The suspect that we believe is responsible for this is now deceased.
Multiple guns and ammunition were found in a 5th-floor apartment along with the suspected gunman, who police say took his own life as they broke down the door.
This was very much a sniper-type setup. His intent was to kill and hurt members of our community.
Law enforcement descended on this neighborhood in Northwest DC shortly after 3:30 p.m. on Friday.
Be advised, I'm on the scene of an active shooter. Person shot in the alleyway.
When witnesses say multiple volleys of semi-automatic gunfire rang out just minutes before kids were about to be released for the day from this private school.
I heard several shots ring out, and then what seemed to be either continuing or returning fire.
4 people were shot, one of them a child. Police teams searched the area, including this apartment building, but did not find the shooter. They then named 23-year-old Raymond Spencer a person of interest, saying they'd identified him through social media posts. A video of what appears to be a first-person shooter view of the attack surfaced online shortly after the incident.
Looks to me, like I said, like he's in our building. That looks like the alley as you said, walking towards first.
And this is the alley that you said the pickup and drop off is for the kids?
Yeah, at the end of that alley.
Mason Kalfas lives in the building used by the gunman, and his 14-year-old son attends the school.
What's the first thing you're going to do when you see him?
I don't know, hug him and just, we'll go to dinner and have a great night.
Mason and his son were later reunited. Now, police will not name the man they say they found dead in that apartment, but they also said they are no longer looking for that person of interest. Jeff?
Okay, Christina, thank you. In Ukraine, there is renewed talk of creating a humanitarian corridor.
So that's interesting. Why would a possibility of easy access to small aircraft be allowed? I mean, it's a frightening reality that they're throwing up on the television in different types of airwaves. I don't understand why. It's just the idea gets shut down and killed before they actually gain access to these modalities and then have some expectation. It's just easier to say absolutely not than it is to repeatedly and enhance crime networks. I just don't understand how these are allowed to grow. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. I'm in that flag pattern. It's star 1978, star 8378. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.